Well, obviously, Chael's going to be a lot better at taking me down than Demian would have been. They're two different threats. Chael is much better at taking down and holding you there. But Demian, obviously, if he gets you down, is much more dangerous on the ground. I said, I don't think Chael is going to submit me. I don't think he's going to knock me out. That was definitely a threat with Demian Maia. There was always a threat of a submission. But obviously, you know, Chael's wrestling is second to none, and he's going to be more effective at getting me down. But other than that, there's not much difference. The game plan is pretty much the same. I was training to keep the fight on his feet. I was doing a lot of work getting back to my feet because obviously Demian is dangerous, as I said. So really, and they're both southpaws as well. So I'm not going to stand there and make excuses and go, oh, this has been such a pain in the backside because they changed opponent. In a lot of ways, you know, it's the same fight. It's the same fight, but just, you know, more at stake.
Is there any similarities to the Lesnar and Overeem fight in the sense that, you know, everybody talked Brock's going to throw Overeem on his back, and then Overeem managed to use his striking to...
Well, yeah, I mean, you could draw some similarities, yeah, of course. You know, I mean, the game plan is the same, and it's definitely a striker versus grappler matchup. That said, if I'm on my back, I've been working very hard at my submissions. I've done jiu-jitsu since I was 8 years old, and I'm no slouch off my back, so he's definitely in danger of being submitted. I don't think Alistair Overeem will be pulling out any go-go platters anytime soon.
Do you think that's the key to this fight?
No. The key to this fight is me fighting my fight. That's what I'm focusing on. I'm not focusing on what he can do. I'm focusing on what I can do. That's a mistake I started making a little while ago in my UFC career. I started worrying too much about what my opponent was going to do. Now, you know, I've got to focus on what I do. I've got to go out there, I've got to push the pace, I've got to get in his face and hit him. I've got to hit him in the face, and then once he starts taking a few shots, he's going to think twice about coming forward so recklessly. You need to make him pay for coming forward, and that's what I plan on doing.
There's some people say that, you know, you look at the Brian Stann fight, why wouldn't this fight go the same way? What would be the difference between this fight and what happened with...
Well, because I can fight, I know jiu-jitsu, I'm good at jiu-jitsu. I'm also probably, I'd say easily the best in the division at getting back to my feet. You know, I've got better takedown defense than Brian Stann. I'm a better wrestler than Brian Stann, you know, so there you go.
Have you ever done a go-go flat in practice?
I have actually, yeah. Only drilling it, you know. I love doing jiu-jitsu, but when it gets too fancy, I kind of switch off. You know, I like the basics.
Michael, since last time we talked, readers are wondering whether or not you got that Chicago pizza and hot dog, and where you actually ate at.
Oh, absolutely. What was it called?
Illuminati's?
Illuminati's, that's it. Oh, it's awesome as well, yeah. So, cheeky little plug for Lou. Next time I come in, I want it on the house.
All right.
Anyone else?
Hey, can you pinpoint, you said that now you don't worry about what your opponent's going to do, you just worry about what you're going to do. Can you pinpoint the moment?
Yeah, well, for example, when I fought Matt Hamill, because I spent time with him on The Ultimate Fight, I realised what a good wrestler he was. So I spent the entire camp working on takedown defense and wrestling, and he came out and threw strikes and kicked my ass in the first round. I was totally caught off guard. I put all my eggs into one basket thinking he's going to come out and shoot straight away. So I was just waiting for this shot, and he started swinging bombs, you know, and I learned my lesson the hard way. So now, you know, and there was a couple of other occasions as well. I'm not going to do anyone the favour of bigging them up, you know. Over the course of my career, you know, I've had a long career though, and I've learned from my experiences and learned from my mistakes. That's the important thing, you know, that you do that, and I have done that. I'm a better fighter. I'm better today than I ever have been. And Saturday night, you know, Chael Sonnen's in for a big surprise.
What do you make of his comment, first of all, that you've never beaten a quality opponent, and then secondly, he said, you know, when's the last time you knocked somebody out?
Oh, well, I'd instantly throw that back at Chael Sonnen. When's the last time he knocked somebody out? Or when the last time he TKO'd someone? He got a submission to Brian Stann, but I think he's been submitted 11 times or something like that. So he really shouldn't speak about finishing fights when he's the one who gets finished. I've only ever been finished once in my entire career. You know, we all know which one that was, and it was a great punching, well done Dan Henderson. But I've come back since then. I'm a better fighter. I go for the knockouts. Jorge Rivera got stopped. Jason Miller got stopped. Akiyama was on the verge of getting stopped until he led on the floor and pretended he got kicked in the bollocks. You know, 7 out of my last 8 opponents have gone to the hospital. That's 100% statistic. Ask the UFC. 7 out of 8 have been to the hospital. You know, so I might not be putting them away.
Who's the one that didn't?
Dan Henderson.
Oh yeah.
I went to the hospital. Yeah, other than that, they've all been to the hospital, and fingers crossed Saturday night it's going to be the exact same.
Last week you were keeping it pretty low-key on the conference call. You said don't worry about the trash talking, but you indulged in a little bit of it on Inside MMA.
Yeah.
What made you decide to turn that switch on?
Oh, nothing in particular. I mean, the guys on Inside MMA, we're having a laugh, a bit of tongue-in-cheek, just my sense of humour. I've got nothing but respect for Chael. He's a great fighter. I'd be a fool not to have respect. But that said, he did fail a test for performance-enhancing drugs, and that was due. So he says because he has small bollocks, because he has one testicle. And if he's only got one testicle, that ain't enough balls to fight me on Saturday night.
What do you make of his, kind of pro wrestling shtick that he's doing? Do you think that's good for the sport?
It attracts attention. I think anything that attracts attention to the sport is a good thing. In my opinion, this is the greatest sport in the world, and anything that attracts attention and gets new viewers and gets people interested is good for it. And it's certainly been good for his career.
Well, to play the devil's advocate, Jeff,
Sure.
doesn't it, if you don't want to have people thinking the fights are a work or anything else
Absolutely.
going on, so if you do that, doesn't it kind of give that impression?
Well, that's always the argument for it, of course. But there's larger than life characters in everything, in every sport, in journalists, in the UFC. You've got Dana. In every sport, there's larger than life characters. There's always going to be. Simply because we fight, they liken it to WWE, which isn't the case. These fights are real. We all know the fights are real, and that's all that matters.
Michael, how are you going to secure that the game going to go according to your pace and Chael Sonnen is not going to take the game into his?
Well, I've trained very hard. I've trained with some great fighters. Is that him there? Who is that? No, that's not Chael. My eyes are terrible. I've worked very hard. I've trained with some great fighters. I've got a great coaches. I've worked with Dean Lister. I've worked with Jake Shields. My confidence is at an all-time high. My wrestling defense is really good. We brought in a couple of really good wrestlers. One in particular, 3 times All-American, awesome wrestler. And he's 230 pounds. And believe me, my takedown defense is on.
Who is that?
Pardon?
Who is that?
It's called Brandon Halsey. He's lurking around here somewhere. And, I'm ready. I'm in shape. I'm stronger than I've ever been. I'm leaner. The weight cut's going to go well. Nothing more to say. I'm ready to go.
Chicago, it's not neither other than yours, Chael Sonnen's. The crowd in Chicago is pretty roaring. What do you expect? Whose side they're going to take?
It's an interesting question. Often I get booed. My last fight, I was booed on the way in and somewhat cheered on the way out. I always hope for a cheer, of course. If they boo, I don't really care, as long as they show excitement. Saturday night, I'm expecting a loud crowd. I'm expecting cheers, boos for Sonnen and boos for me. So who knows? I can't blame the majority of the public there are going to go for their hometown guy. They're going to go for the American. Just like if I fight in England, the crowd are going to go for the UK guy. And that's fair enough. I completely understand that. I do the same thing. So I'm assuming they're going to cheer for Chael.
Well, Rashad Evans recently said when you boo in the love you.
Yeah, of course. It's the same thing. A loud boo or a loud cheer. As long as we get one of them. The day you walk out and they're like, this guy. That's when your career's over.
Mike, do you take any confidence in the fact that at least in the first round against Dan Henderson, also an All-American wrestler, I don't think he was slamming you in your back.
No, he wasn't slamming on my backside. To be fair, I think he was more concentrating on knocking my head off. But I've worked on my wrestling for a long, long time. I'm probably one of the only guys from the UK who can wrestle and I have anti-wrestling. You know what I mean? I can take guys down when I need to, but I'm way better at stopping a takedown. I've worked very hard on that, and I'm confident. Rashad Evans had trouble, and that was 4 or 5 years ago. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know. Yeah, 5. And I've improved a lot since then.
Michael, your kicks and knees seem to be really nice in the open workout. How much of is that part of your plan for Saturday?
Well, I train to be prepared in all areas. If I can stop the takedown and stop him coming forward like a juggernaut, if I can slow his pace and get him to stay back a little bit and give me space, then of course I'll start using the kicks. I've been working with this man here, Daz Morris. And yeah, my kicks feel good, my punches feel good, jiu-jitsu's on point. I've been working with a jiu-jitsu coach named Brady Fink. Everything's there.
Michael, at the recent conference, Big Black Dana White says it's hard to take MMA to England, vice versa Brazil. What does need to be done in order to get MMA in England to the level that it's in the other countries?
Well, I think the problem with England is that we don't really have even with the big boxing fights, we don't have much of a pay-per-view culture. So, obviously the UFC is a business, and if you can't sell a pay-per-view in England, they're going to lose money. They can generate, I don't know what the numbers are, but a lot of money with a big pay-per-view here or in Brazil. They can't do those numbers in England. Maybe one day, but as of right now, they can't. So I don't really blame the UFC, but fingers crossed they continue to spearhead their operation into Europe and England and continue to do shows.
Michael,
Thanks, Kevin.
how was wrestling picked up in the UK? Because in the last couple of fights from other fighters from the UK, such as Dan Hardy and Paul Bailey, they had issues with wrestlers. Has it been something that's been picking up more as far as in high school, possibly?
No. We don't have a wrestling program in the schools in England, unfortunately. If you want to wrestle, that's going to be something that you've got to seek out and find. There is wrestling clubs, but not many. And obviously the mixed martial arts clubs, the gyms, they'll have a wrestling coach normally.
Right. Is that more a priority now in training for fighters in the UK?
Absolutely. It was something I had to address. I had to be proactive in learning to wrestle. Otherwise, I wouldn't be stood here today. My UFC career would have finished a long time ago.
You're one fight away from fighting against Anderson Silva.
Dad, can you give me a bottle of water? Cheers, pal.
You're one fight away from fighting Anderson Silva in Brazil in a soccer stadium.
Yes.
As an Englishman who probably likes soccer, what does it mean to you?
Well, for me, that's my dream, A, to fight for a world title, B, to represent England, and I've got nothing but respect for Anderson. He's the greatest fighter on the planet, and I'm a fan. I want to earn my right to fight him, absolutely. You're not going to hear me do a Chael Sonnen and discredit him, never in a million years. I'm a fan. I buy every pay-per-view he's on. I watch every fight, If I get to fight him, it's going to be a huge honour and a dream come true, and as I said, but I've got to beat Chael Sonnen first. I'm not even thinking about that. Everybody's asking me about that. I've got to fight Chael Sonnen. I've got to beat Chael Sonnen. That's not an easy task, so I'm focusing all my energy on that.